Okay, I'm ready. We filming? I remember for Christmas, I got this little adventure explorer set, because we own like acres and acres of land and forest, and we like to explore. So my mom bought me that little kit. It came with like a telescope, a pair of binoculars, a compass, and it had this little like plastic camera that you could put film in. Yeah, I remember loading it up, going out in my backyard, exploring, taking photos of whatever I thought interesting as a kid. I mean, granted, they were probably pretty terrible photos, but I remember how excited I was when my mom took me to the photo lab for the first time to get those photos exposed. So that was kind of my first exposure to that. The thing that got me in photography was supposed to take a trip to Tokyo. It was going to be my first big trip heading out of North America, and I kind of wanted to capture it the best way I could. Leading up to the trip, COVID had happened, and there was talks about travel restrictions, and I decided instead of risking it, I was just going to pull the trip. So I was stuck inside during these lockdowns, and I had this nice camera, and I started playing around with product photography and stuff in my house. And that's kind of initially how I got started into it, and then dove into the world of YouTube, found creators like North Borders, Peter McKinnon, who kind of introduced me to street photography, and that was kind of how all that started. I would have to say the number one most influential photographer for me would be Mike, North Borders. He's probably had the hugest impact on me finding what I love to do. I think it'd be cool to spend a day with North Borders, and you know, as I've developed as a creator, it'd be cool to just collaborate with him, work with him, even do like a YouTube video with him or something where it's like he kind of developed me into what I am, so be able to create with him would kind of be a cool process. Number one goal, this took me a while to appreciate this, but have fun is the number one goal. And as long as you're always having fun, everything else will follow. 5 tips for people just getting into photography. Go to your local library, find a book that teaches you the fundamentals, composition, proper exposure, all that kind of stuff. And then the most important part of this tip is once you understand those, learn how to break every one of those rules to make creative decisions and come up with some creative art. Don't worry about if your gear is good enough or not. I think that's probably the number one mistake that all new photographers and content creators make, is they think they need the best gear possible to be able to make good content, which isn't true. If you just learn how to utilize the equipment you have, you'll be more than okay. Get low. There's always an interesting shot to be found. Getting low, lots more leading lines, especially with wide angles and stuff like that, adds a lot more interest to your photos. Don't be a perfectionist. Set standards, but don't set such an expectation and then get upset when you don't meet that expectation, because sometimes you find the best content in the mistakes that you make. Don't chase following. I know that sounds really hard, but if you're trying to grow on social media, just really fall in love with your art, really dial in your style and fall in love with that, and just own that. Refine it as you go, but just really stick to what you enjoy making, and don't worry about what's getting views and what's not getting views. And the more people that see your stuff, the more people will find that enjoy it, and then you'll slowly grow over time, and you'll have a more solid community base than just bots and stuff. If I could work with any one brand, which brand would it be and why? It's a great question. I don't know if I ever thought about something like that. I think F1 content creator. That'd be pretty sweet. People always ask me, how do you shoot cars so well? And it's usually portrait photographers that ask me this, and the simple answer is, it kind of sounds weird, but just think of it as like a model, right? Cars have curves, they're sexy looking, so just try to find ways to emphasize those like curves and kind of those feminine features of a car, and you'll never go wrong with capturing the beauty of a car. I think my dream opportunity would be to kind of be a content creator that does a lot of urban photography. So to be able to get paid to do what I love, to travel around all these cool urban areas and all these cool cities in the world and capture it the way that I see it, would be probably my dream job.
How do you do that? YouTube.
Yeah, I know. I gotta get on the YouTube. I gotta get on the YouTube.
Next video. Blow it up.